Here we go. Here we go. What is good? I think we are officially live. I'm about to just tweet out the link for the live, and then we can go ahead and get started here. So appreciate you guys with the bear downs in the chat, man. Love you guys. I see you guys are going crazy with that. Okay. Okay, so let me go ahead and just tweet this out here. Going live. So yes, guys, I will be taking your guys' questions, everything Chicago Bears related. Actually, you guys can ask me anything really, but I'm going to be mainly taking Bears questions because, that was a thrilling victory we came off of last night. 2 straight, potentially should have been 3 straight, but I won't digress too much on that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and just let folks come in here, and then we can go ahead and start taking questions. Going live now to questions. What's good? What's good? Here we go. Join me. Hopefully you guys are all following me on social media. Okay. I tweeted out the link. See some questions coming in here. Appreciate the bear downs in the chat. So before we get started, if you guys want your question answered guaranteed, submit a super chat for that. I'll get to every single super chat. I promise. I will not let a single super chat get by. But besides that point, just real quick recapping. What's good? What's good, you guys? What's up? What's good, Faiz? What's going on? Yeah, just quickly, just recapping. What's transpired over these last few weeks. It's crazy that we're still in a midst of a playoff chance, right? Like we actually have a chance here. So I am just thankful that there's Bears football, and I'm thankful that it's meaningful Bears football, and we're already not looking forward to the draft. Okay, so let me go ahead and start here with the questions, and then again, if you guys want your question answered guaranteed, submit a super chat. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll up here to the top and see where we missed out on. Okay, so we Bear Down Forever says we're becoming Niners and Rams fanboys. Absolutely. All right. So if you guys don't know, the scenario is we need the Cardinals to lose at least one game, no matter if the Bears win out. Need the Cardinals to lose at least one game. So we need them to lose to at least either the Rams or the Niners. Now, the Rams lost to the Jets yesterday, which was obviously a huge surprise to everybody, including myself. I will say this. If you ask me to pick right now, I believe they will lose to the Rams. Okay? The Rams are going to be playing for something. They could have clinched the playoffs last week, but I believe they'll be playing for seeding in Week 17. So that is why I believe they will lose to the Rams. And the Niners are going to play them tough too, folks. Don't just assume that's a win. Divisional games are always tricky. Remember that, okay? Andy says the Bears are heating up at the right time. They are the how the hell they make the playoffs team like Philly some odd years ago. I have a feeling we are in a special run. Yeah, so I said this a couple weeks ago, and I said, look, the beautiful thing about the NFL is anything could happen on any given Sunday. We literally saw that this Sunday with the Rams losing to the Jets, who ruined all my parlays, by the way. I should have never taken the damn Jets. Excuse me, the Rams. But that's another story for another day. But anything could happen on any given Sunday, and the same thing goes for the playoffs. And I've always said this. I don't want to ever play teams in the playoffs that are hot late in the season, and I would rather be hot late in the season than early in the season. So if you ask me, would I rather have a 7-game win streak to start the season and then lose 5 straight versus lose 5 early, win 7 late? I'll always take the win 7 late, because when teams are hot later in the season, that's when they're dangerous. And the Bears right now, they're getting hot at the right time. All right, so let me see here. Mitchell Trubisky looks like a first-round pick. I'm just saying, well, he should look like when he was a second overall pick, but, we'll see. Let's see here. Scrolling on down. Got a bunch of bear downs in the chat. Again, guys, super chat if you guys want me to answer your question. right away. If you were the Bears general manager, this is from Fabian Torres. If you were the Bears general manager, what contract would you give Allen Robinson? I would give A-Rob a lot of money, man. A-Rob is an absolute stud. He deserves top receiver money. Like, I would give him right below the top guy. So whatever DeAndre Hopkins is making, a little below that. That's what I would give A-Rob. How is the Cardinal win going to impact our chances? So, like I said, the Cardinals have to lose one game. So a lot of people asking, what happens if the Cardinals and the Bears finish with the same record? Well, then it would go to a conference record as the tiebreaker. And if that's the same, then it would go to same or I should say common opponent record. And in that instance, the Bears already have the tiebreaker. They have a better record in terms of common opponents. So the Bears would get the tiebreaker at that point, I believe. Favorite Bears moment in your life and before you were born from Peyton? Favorite Bears moment in my life? Probably it's a very common one. The Devin Hester return touchdown in the Super Bowl. Look, folks, like just the biggest moments, right? I mean, getting to the Super Bowl and having a play like that, that's probably my favorite moment. Before you were born, I mean, I don't think I have one before I was born. Just watching the highlights, obviously, the 85 championship, the Ditka year. So, but yeah, I'd probably say the Hester one. Let's see here. Do we root for the Seahawks or Rams on Sunday? Interesting question. I would say you should root for the Seahawks because I want the Rams to have something to play for in Week 17. And we want them to play all their starters in Week 17 against the Cardinals. If the Bears don't make the playoffs, do we re-sign Mitch? Okay, it's a great question from Nonchalant STU54. All right, so I've been wanting to – let me take a second to talk about this. What happens with Mitchell Trubisky, Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, right? So here's where I'm at. A lot of people, and I think people will probably ask me this question: does Mitchell Trubisky? And I'm gonna make a separate video about it, but you guys are getting the early preview because you guys are in the chat, so I appreciate that. So people are gonna ask: does Mitchell Trubisky deserve a contract extension, right? And does Matt Nagy deserve to stay? Does Ryan Pace deserve to stay? I am literally saying I don't know at this point, and I'm fine with that. And here's why. Everything is week by week. Now, Mitch, I believe, has done exactly what I thought he was capable of if you tailored the offense around him. I've been saying this since 2018. I mean, 2018, we had a good season, but let's say beginning of 2019. Like Matt Nagy's biggest issue always was he never tailored the offense around Mitch's strengths. It's finally happening, and is it any surprise it's not Matt Nagy doing it, but somebody else in Bill Lazor? Yeah, no surprise there. But Mitch is doing what I feel like he was always capable of doing. We're just now finally using him to his strengths. But in terms of him, Nagy, and Pace, I really do think it all depends on what happens in these next 2 weeks. Now, of course, next week you have the Jaguars, but we just saw what happened with the Rams, right? You can't take any opponent lightly. I'm expecting the Bears to beat the Jaguars, of course. But if they lose, do you really want, everyone back here? Does this team really deserve to make the playoffs if they lose to a team like the Jaguars? No. So the answer is going to change every single week. That's why I'm saying I would like to wait until the end of the season to make my decision. Okay? So that's where I'm at. We got a super chat from Kavan. Appreciate you, Kavan, with the super chat, man. Loyal sub. If we keep Mitch and get a new drafted QB and Mitch shows he's the franchise QB, what happens to the newly drafted QB? That's an interesting question. So as of right now, the Bears are projected to have a mid-first-round pick, right? Mid to late first-round pick based off of where they finish, but it's not going to be high. If we take a quarterback in the first round with that first pick, then and if Mitch turns out to be a franchise quarterback, then I think essentially we would keep the rookie quarterback around as like a backup or trade him later for assets. So think about a Jimmy Garoppolo situation where you clearly draft the quarterback because you expect Tom Brady to deteriorate or retire, and it never happens for the Patriots. and now you are stuck on what to do with Jimmy Garoppolo, and so you essentially have to trade him because Tom Brady does not want to retire. He wants to keep playing football. So that's what I would say would happen if we did draft another quarterback, which is still very possible. So that's a great question, Kamal. So thank you for the super chat there. So, guys, that's where I'm at with the whole Nagy, Pace, and Mitch. Look, I know I've been going back and forth here. You guys have been going back and forth. It's a week-to-week league, and the one thing about the NFL is it's what have you done for me lately? So let's say we beat the Jaguars, okay, even though that's not a given. Please don't assume that. Let's say we beat the Jaguars, and let's say we lose to the Packers and we don't get in, okay? At this point, what do I think happens? My gut feeling says that it also depends on how we played against the Packers. Do we put up a fight and we lose, and Mitch has a great game and we lose, and Montgomery has a great game and we lose, or do we get blown out? Like, if we get blown out, I'm thinking, okay, Mitch isn't coming back, Nagy's gone, Pace is gone. But if we put up a fight, maybe they come back. I think if we get to the playoffs, though, here's the one answer I can give you guys. If the Bears get to the playoffs, I think there is a very good chance that Nagy, Pace are back for one more season and Mitchell Trubisky gets one more season as well. That's the one thing I'm most sure about, is if the Bears make the playoffs. I believe that is what would happen. So their best ticket for Nagy, Pace, and Mitch to stay with the Bears next year is to make the playoffs. And we need a little help from the Cardinals for that. All right, here we go. Let's see what other questions we got here. Yeah, I love the questions, guys, but you don't have to spam. I do see the questions in the super chat. Okay, so did I attend Northwestern for college? Yes, I did. I went to Loyola for undergrad and Northwestern for my master's. So thank you. Let's see here. Should have never benched Mitch. He changed the offense for better. Yeah, I told you that. I completely agree with that. We should never, ever, 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 ever bench Mitch. If we went out and make the playoffs, do you think we should give Mitch another chance at quarterback? Yeah, I think if we make the playoffs, I think Mitchell Trubisky should come back. Now, contract. What does Mitchell Trubisky deserve in terms of contract? I've seen a couple articles that say, does Mitchell Trubisky deserve contract extension? Folks, I would be very happy, and this is a weird part, I would be very happy in a weird way that all of this happened and Mitch struggled, because just assume we sign Mitch to a relatively cheap contract, and what if he blossoms next year, right? What if he just turns into the guy that we know he could turn into because we tailored the offense around him? What happens then, right? So we got Mitchell Trubisky for cheap, whereas other teams, like the Eagles did with Carson Wentz, like the Rams did with Jared Goff, are paying these large contracts for guys who we know just aren't very good. And let me ask you this. What's the main difference between Mitchell Trubisky and Jared Goff? Jared Goff, to me, is literally the same type in terms of talent, and it's a lot of just fixing the offense around Jared Goff. Now, Jared Goff might be a better thrower of the football. Mitchell Trubisky has better legs. Like, there's, again, give or take with talent. But what does Sean McVay do? He just tailors the offense around Jared Goff. Jared Goff, to me, is not an elite quarterback. Neither is Mitchell Trubisky. But when you tailor the offense around them, you can win. And don't tell me you can't win with Jared Goff. He literally got you to the Super Bowl. So the same thing can happen with Mitch. Do you think the Bears can go far in the playoffs? Depends on the opponent, man. If we're playing someone from the NFC East, yeah, I could see them beating. But as of right now, I mean, unless the Bears get super duper hot, we know that the Packers, the Saints, these are like clearly superior teams. So it would depend on the matchup. I have to look at how the matchup would be. Let's see here. If the Packers get the first seed before Week 17, will they start their backups against the Bears? Yeah, look, I honestly believe the Packers will bench their starters. Unless Aaron Rodgers is stat padding for his MVP award, there's no reason for the Packers to play their starters in Week 17 if they have clinched. Maybe a half, but even that to me is a waste. What's the point? So I would tell you I feel very, very strongly that I think the Packers bench their starters in Week 17 if they have nothing to play for. Patrick Dallin with the question: is it possible for Mitch to turn his career around and turn into a total stud? That's a little difficult for me to say total stud. Could he turn into a productive quarterback? Absolutely. Now, there's exceptions to the rule here. Drew Brees struggled early in his career. Peyton Manning struggled early in his career, right? They threw a lot of interceptions, but you have to keep in account they played in different eras. It wasn't as geared towards passing as it is right now. So right now, today's NFL, again, it's funny we say this because quarterback is literally the hardest position to learn and play and understand, but we have this thing where we expect guys to just know right away, right? You have rookie quarterbacks playing right away. Look at Justin Herbert. Look at Joe Burrow before the injury. Like, these guys look good. So it's hard for me to say that he turns his career around and becomes a total stud. I don't think I'd go that far, but I do think he could become a serviceable quarterback. And that's all really the Bears would need to win a Super Bowl if they surround him with the right pieces. Can Ryan Pace still get fired if the Bears make the playoffs? I think they give him one more year if the Bears make the playoffs. Because if you think about it, guys, look at it like this. If the Bears make the playoffs, Matt Nagy goes to his front office, or not front office, I should say, the owners. And if the owners want to fire him, he says, look, I've been here 3 years. I won Coach of the Year 1 year. I got to the playoffs 2 out of 3 years. I've never had a losing record. You want to fire that? Like, I admit I made a mistake in benching Mitch, in play calling, but I've learned from my mistakes. And to Matt Nagy's credit, he did. He gave up play calling. And now I feel like Matt Nagy's way more comfortable because he can just coach and focus on the entire team. Before, when you're the play caller and the coach, sometimes, it's too many things to juggle. And Bill Lazor just focuses, okay, how do I make the game plan around Mitch, around David Montgomery, versus Matt Nagy has to deal with the entire team. So Matt Nagy goes to the front office and says that. How do you fire that if they make the playoffs? If they make the playoffs. Nick Gonzalez with a super chat. Packers win, nothing to play for Week 17. Thoughts? Yeah. Who are the Packers playing this week? I have to think about it. Oh, they're playing the Titans, I think. I believe the Packers will, if they have nothing to play for in Week 17, they will rest their stars. I really do believe that. Okay. Let me see here. Go back up. Which Bears rookie are you most excited for next year? Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet is really just going to get all of the snaps, all of the work next year, and he's just going to explode. He'll be our starting tight end. What do you think of the odds of Vic getting fired in Denver, coming back to Chicago? Slim to none. I don't think they're firing Vic Fangio. And even if they are, I don't think he comes back. Or at least I should say never. I shouldn't say never. I just think the odds aren't very high. Do you think we can beat the Packers considering we have a confident offense with a not-so-confident defense? I'm more worried about the defense at this point. If our defense does what it did the first time against the Packers, which is allow, pretty much anything against Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter if our offense puts up, 30 points. Aaron Rodgers can put up 40. So I'm never going to say our offense is better than the Packers offense. So clearly if the Packers offense is able to do whatever against our defense, no, we can't beat the Packers then. What changed in the offense for the Bears to win on Sunday? 2 things. Running game. We are actually committing to the run. And Mitchell Trubisky's strengths. We are playing to his strengths. A lot of bootleg play action, rollout, pre-snap motion, things like that he's been asking for. Cut the field in half. Make it a simple read. Just tailor it to his strengths. But number one thing also is the running game. Yeah, the offensive line has been phenomenal. Let me give a shout-out to all those guys. Sam Mustipher, Alex Barr has been looking good. Cody Whitehair, as soon as he moved positions, he's been an absolute beast. These guys are winning their one-on-one battles. And I'm telling you, folks, like, people were trashing the offensive line for good reason middle of the season, but they had talent. It was about scheme, okay? Faiz, we should root for the Rams Sunday because if the Rams and Packers win Sunday, then the Packers clinch the number 1 seed and will likely rest their starters against us in Week 17. That's a good point. But here's the other thing, okay? It is more important for the Cardinals to lose a game than it is for us to have the Packers rest their starters. Because if the Cardinals don't lose and the Packers rest their starters, it doesn't matter for us. We're not getting in. The Cardinals need to lose a game. That's why I'm saying I would rather have the Rams lose so that they are playing full strength against the Cardinals in Week 17. But either which way, Bears can't control anything. Let's see what happens. If we don't re-sign A-Rob, what should we do with our entire offense? Well, I'd be really disappointed in not signing Allen Robinson, but at that point, I mean, you probably just want to build around your young studs, right? George from the UK here. I stay up till 1 a.m. on Sunday before work to watch this stuff. Appreciate that, George. Shout out to George in the UK. Have we ever had a decent QB? I love Mitch, and is it a culture inability to pick up a good offense? So I'll say this. When you say decent quarterback, like average, Jay Cutler was an average quarterback. But I hated Jay Cutler because he was the worst leader at the position that you need a leader the most, right? So Jay Cutler, to me, arm talent was out of this planet. We know that he had a cannon for an arm, and he was a talented quarterback, and he was average. But again, I just hated the fact that he used to throw back-breaking interceptions. He wasn't a leader. There was a lot of things not to like about Jay Cutler. So have we ever had a decent quarterback? Yeah, we've had a decent quarterback. Have we ever had an elite quarterback? No, we've never had an elite quarterback. And I don't want to even go back to, the 80s, 70s. No, I don't count those guys as much. In modern history, we've never had an elite quarterback. And then the second question, is it a cultural inability to pick up a good offense? Yes, it does start with the culture, but I believe ownership, front office, not so much ownership, I'd say more front office, because ownership you can't control as much. Front office has to realize that you keep trying at quarterback until you get it right. I believe the Green Bay Packers and their success at quarterback has been definitely luck, but they also are always ahead of the curve, which is when you have Brett Favre, you draft Aaron Rodgers. When you have Aaron Rodgers, you draft Jordan Love. I'm not saying Jordan Love is going to be the next Aaron Rodgers, but they keep trying to make sure that they have replenished the most important position. And for the Bears, they should be doing the same thing. You keep trying to hit at quarterback until you get one. Now, I say that, but I also say this. If you have a good quarterback but a bad culture, doesn't matter. Look at Matt Stafford. Entire career wasted because he has been in a bad culture, a bad team. And so, to me, culture is the most important thing. So, yes, absolutely, it's culture. It's having that front office. If I were to, take a look at the Bears, I think the Bulls did it the right way, and I would want the Bears to kind of do that, like cleaning house. But here's the thing. The issues for the Bears were never as bad as for the Bulls. Like, Jim Boylan was the worst head coach in the NFL and the NBA. Like, there's not a single team that was going to pick up Jim Boylan if he got fired. There might be a team that could pick up Matt Nagy. I'm not saying that it would happen for sure, but there could be a team. He's not that bad. Ryan Pace, youngest GM in the NFL when we hired him. He deserves to have a little bit of a leash because, again, he is so young at his job. Mitchell Trubisky, did he ever get a fair chance at a full season with his type of play calling? Maybe not. So, yeah, that's a great question. I would say definitely culture is part of it. Can the Cardinals lose any of the remaining games? Yes, absolutely. The Niners aren't going to be easy, and neither are the Rams. Oh, we got Matt Nagy in the super chat here. Great question, Faiz. Right now, we're going to be looking at the tape and seeing if Mitch needs that contract. So far, he's a great kid and a heck of a football player. I like him as a pocket passer. Well, dang nabbit, Matt, it's great to have you here. And you know what? Go ahead and go and study the tape on the Jaguars. And good luck next week, Coach. We need it. Why did it take so long for Nagy to realize that Montgomery should have 20-plus carries and Mitch functioned better with play action? It wasn't Nagy who realized that. It was Bill Lazor. And why did it take Matt Nagy that long to hand over his play calling to Bill Lazor? Beats me. Wish I had that answer for you, man. But I've been here all season. I've been here all season telling you guys that. The whole NFC is beatable, in my opinion. I'm not saying the NFC is flawless, but there are some good teams in the NFC. I'm up by 30 points in fantasy. My opponent has Juju and Steelers. Am I going to lose? 30 points should be enough. I think Juju at his best probably has 15, 20 points in Steelers defense. Probably, 10. Oh, that's tough. It might be really close, but I think you should be able to squeak it out unless the Steelers defense goes completely off, which they can. Ted Ginn was really bad at returning kicks. Have we let him go yet? Yes, Ted Ginn is gone. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Can you make a video on what GM candidates you like? So here's the thing. I am going to wait it out until after the season to even think about the fact that if we need to make a GM video or a coach video, because again, my answer is going to change depending on what happens in these next 2 weeks, folks. And that's not me copping out and saying that. Here's the one thing. People think that because you said something that you're not allowed to change your opinion. Well, here's the thing. If I have new information, I'm going to take that new information and give you the best analysis of that new information, right? Like people think just because you had one opinion, you can't change it. No, if you don't change it based off the new information, then I don't think you are very smart, because if you think about it, if you are going into the doctor for treatment and there's this new medicine that could cure your treatment, well, now you probably want them to use that new information. Oh, no, the doctor's going to be like, no, I can't use that. That's new information. We have to use old medicine. No, you don't have to. So look at new information. That's what I'm doing here. All I'm saying is these next 2 weeks will absolutely determine if Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, and Mitchell Trubisky deserve to come back here next season. Literally, it could be yes or no based off these next 2 weeks. So hang tight. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Sean McVay is mad for losing to the Jets. Who wouldn't be? My goodness, that was awful. All right, let's see what else we got here. Again, guys, super chat if you guys want me to answer your question right away. I'm going to be hanging in here for a couple more minutes. Let A-Rob walk and draft the receiver in the first. I'm not a big fan of that. I want to keep A-Rob. I want to keep A-Rob. A-Rob is a really, really good receiver, folks. Really, really good receiver. What do you do if the Bears go 8-8? 8-8, well, does that mean they don't make the playoffs? Because I told you, here's where I'm at. If the Bears don't make the playoffs, then two things are, at question. This Jaguars game, this is a given in the sense of if the Bears don't beat the Jaguars, these guys don't deserve to come back. If you don't beat the Jaguars, you don't deserve to make the playoffs, right? You just don't. So let's just take the Jaguars game out of it. Let's take the Packers game, all right? Let's say the Cardinals have lost a game. Let's say they lose to the Rams in Week 17, and we're playing the Packers. And we put up a fight and we lose. I could see a chance for the Bears to bring back, Nagy, Pace, Trubisky. If we get blown out, and this is assuming, let's say the Packers play their stars. If we get blown out, it's not close, I think they're gone. That's where I'm kind of at right now. Again, not saying it's the final answer, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's see here. You can't find an A-Rob. You really can't. Allen Robinson is so good, folks. I don't know why you guys are okay moving on from him. He is so damn good. And it's not like we are absolutely locked with players. We are not the Eagles where we just gave, Wentz a boatload of money. Mitchell Trubisky's a free agent next year. We have money to spend. A-Rob, his money is available, okay? If the Rams do lose against the Hawks, why would the Rams start their starters? They made it to the playoffs already. Just wondering. Seeding, again, I have to look at the standings, but I don't think the Rams have locked in a spot. Well, they certainly haven't locked in a spot yet. But if they win next week against the Seahawks, which isn't a given by any means, then I think they would still play for seeding. So let's talk about Mitchell Trubisky's contract, because this is what's interesting to me. What if we sign Mitch to like a 2-year, $25 million contract, or a 1-year, $20 million contract? Like, folks, imagine all the money we're able to spend on other positions. Just imagine that. You know, what usually happens in the NFL, a lot of people don't understand this, is you have 4 years when you draft a quarterback to win. This is what exactly happened with the Seattle Seahawks. They had 4 years with Russell Wilson. They knew right away that he was a franchise quarterback, and they tried to do everything they can to make sure the team around him was good. So they gave him a good running game in beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, elite defense, Legion of Boom. We know that. What happens? Boom. They get to the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl. Now, Russell Wilson wasn't the MVP. I think it was Malcolm Brown. But point being is, Russell Wilson was cheap, and they were able to spend elsewhere. The second Russell Wilson got paid, they haven't been able to go back since. So this is a rare scenario where you would have the chance, if Mitch, again, is able to keep his level of play, you would have a chance to have a quarterback who you're not paying an insane amount of money to, who's giving you solid level play, and you can build around him and give money to other positions. Think about what the Rams have done with Jared Goff. He's on a fat contract, all right? We didn't give that money to Mitch, right? Eagles, same thing. So I think the Bears, in a weird way, maybe lucked out with Mitchell Trubisky not playing well, because now we get him for the cheap. Again, just a thought. When do you think the Packers will be horrible again? Hopefully sometime in my lifetime. In all honesty, folks, I think once Aaron Rodgers retires, I mean, he is that entire franchise. But again, I don't know what Jordan Love is going to be like. So we'll see. Yeah, shout out Cairo Santos. I see a lot of people saying to give him credit. I've been, streaming his name. I love Cairo. He is our kicker of the future. So appreciate that. Let's see if I missed any other questions. I think I got them all, folks. But really do appreciate you guys. I'll do more lives if you guys want me to. Just haven't had a chance to, but thank you so much, and try to get more videos out for you guys this week. But man, I really appreciate that, and I will talk to you guys soon.